Sometimes players get rushed down too easily or find themselves missing clutch shots on defense and just figure, I should have just hit my shots on that player. Which actually isn't the change they need to make at all. I ran into this situation in a coaching session recently, and it's one of the best examples I've ever had, so hopefully this helps y'all evaluate your own play and figure out if this is something that's happening to you. We are in a nightmare situation, where the last player standing, the enemy team is close to lead and not that far away from KOing either. You, and only you, have to use your Snipe Rider to stop the enemy team from moving the Rainmaker forward. Our player gets charge ready as they pop the Rainmaker, and a player moves forward to pick it up. I'm going to pause it right here. Visualize. Where do you choose to fire your first shot? The player in the clip chooses to fire at the opponent who's moving toward the Rainmaker, trying to hit them. I would argue this is actually not the right play. Why would it not be the right play, Jem? Don't you want to splat this player as quickly as possible so they get as few points as possible? Well, rhetorical imaginary student, if this were a one-shot charger, that might be a shot that you have to hit in some cases. But this isn't a one-shot charger. It's a Snipe Rider. So what I'm doing with my first shot is actually missing on purpose. I'm not firing this shot to hit the player. I'm firing it to stop them from moving. In this game, when you fire shots, it puts ink on the ground, and that ink stops your opponents from moving pretty efficiently. As long as you put that ink in between them and where they want to go, they will get stuck, and either need to fire a really slow Rainmaker shot, or wait for their teammate to paint for them. During that time, they won't be moving, and that's when you fire the Snipe Rider shots 2 and 3 on a basically unmoving target that won't be scoring points in between those two shots. I've talked for a long time about the importance of erring on the side of aiming in front of the player you're trying to hit for this reason, that even if you miss, now you've turned a moving target into a stationary one and prevented them from getting where they're going to go. This clip is an example of what happens if you don't do that. The Rainmaker carrier pulls off a really quick squid roll that makes the first shot miss. In theory, even if this squid roll would have taken them over the top of the ink that's put down by the Snipe Rider, if you paint just far enough in front of them that their feet touch that ink as they move forward, it stops the squid roll from happening at all, and they don't even get to move. But because it missed to the left, the Rainmaker is free to move in the direction they want unimpeded, so they're scoring and harder to hit. As it turns out, it's also harder to stop the Rainmaker with paint now, because of how the angle between the players is changing. Did you see the video from yesterday about why you want to paint parallel to an opponent's line of ink instead of perpendicular to it? If that first shot goes in front of the carrier by a little more, that line of ink isn't perfectly parallel, but it's a lot closer to it, and it cuts off more of the ink the Rainmaker carrier is trying to use to move forward. We can see that once they get all but perpendicular to the Snipe Rider player, the skinny ink trails being put down by the Snipe Rider shots are easy to just hop over. Some competitive players might look at this situation afterward and just tell themselves, I've just got to hit those shots, and assume it's a mechanical skill issue, maybe beat themselves up about it a little bit. You know, we're competitive, it's what we do. But a lot of the time, the solution is actually to set the fight up differently for yourself, so you don't have to hit hard shots. It's like when I looked at a top-level frontliner and thought, wow, they got really lucky this game, just stumbling on all these winnable fights with players that didn't know that they were there. I had that thought often enough that I realized it couldn't be happening randomly. Nobody gets that lucky. The top-level player was deliberately positioning in ways that gave them easy fight wins, instead of in ways that forced them to perform insane feats of mechanics just to get by. Next time you notice self-talk along the lines of, I just need to hit my shots, I would challenge you to think about what would have made those shots easier to hit, aside from doing more aim drills. What angle would make the shots easier? What could you have done to force the target to be easier to hit? What effect is your paint having on them? Where was your reticle placed before you decided to aim at that player? Did you expect that player was going to be there? Did you think about what direction they were moving in and try to project where they'd be by the time you could fire again? You'll always be working on your aim, and there's only so much you can do to accelerate your aim's improvement. But if there's anything you can do to make your aim easier through your decision making, don't miss out on the opportunity to make that improvement.